Hello YouTubers, welcome back to ThoseYGOguys. I'm your host Alessandro. In this video I'm going to be responding to a very unique question that a fellow subscriber of mine have asked me on my Pure Lightsworn deck profile video, and he's wondering why am I not running Aurkus Lightsworn Druid, since he has seen quite a bit of Lightsworn deck profiles that run Aurkus Lightsworn Druid, and there are others that, that don't run Aurkus. So, it's a very interesting question, and I decided, let's make a discussion video basically based on Aurkus Lightsworn Druid. So let's dive into it. So, as we have all known, Aurkus Lightsworn Druid is a level 3 Lightsworn monster with the effect stated: neither player can target Lightsworn monsters anywhere with card effects. That means in the hand, on the field, and the graveyard. During each of your end phases, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And he has 1200 attack, 1800 defense. So, let's talk about the pros for Aurkus Lightsworn Druid. Now, Aurkus Lightsworn Druid can stop popular card effects that have been going around throughout the metagames, such as Firehand. Other cards such as number 80, Rhapsody in Berserk. Let's see, DD Crow, Allied Justice Cycle Reader. Let's see, what else? Dimensional Prison, Book of Moon. Mind Control, if your opponent chooses to main deck it. I believe Soul Release? I remember the original print for Soul Release stated that it selects, so I assume that it does target the cards that it's about to banish. But don't count my words of saying as concrete, because I'm not 100% sure on that one. If I'm incorrect, please stay down in the comment down below and notify me, so that way it'd be a good learning experience for me to fully understand on the meaning. But I'm fairly sure Soul Release targets. So yeah. So it has some pretty unique effect that stop cards like those that I mentioned earlier. So those are the unique pros for him. Now, let's talk about the cons about Aurkus Lightsworn Druid. Now, as you guys can tell, Aurkus can prevent Lightsworn from being targeted by card effects, such as from your own big power plays within your Lightsworn deck, such as your own Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. As we have known, Lumina is the card that makes your Lightsworn deck very consistent, that makes your plays very expensive and very aggressive. Sometimes can answer situations and, come up with solutions and all that. But as long as Aurkus sits on your side of the field, you can't really do that. Now, fortunately, since Lumina is level 3, you can do a rank 3 play, but unfortunately, you want to thrive off of Lumina's effect before you go into your rank 3 plays. So, that is kind of unfortunate right there, since Lumina has such a really powerful effect that can add quite a bit of consistency to the Lightsworn deck. Now, you also play other cards that have been notoriously used in Lightsworn decks, depending on which variants of them, but regardless of the different variants. Cards like Monster Reincarnation, like you already have your boss monsters set up, but you're not ready to commit to your boss plays yet, because you might have a feeling you want to eliminate a card or two before you want to start your boss plays. Now, let's just say you want to bring back cards like Lila or Lumina, stuff like that. Well, unfortunately, as long as Aurkus Lightsworn Druid sits on the field, he kind of neutralized that kind of play. So that kind of forces you to really commit to big plays, which might end up not so well for you if your opponent hasn't answered to your boss monster plays. He can also stop cards that are also useful for the Lightsworn archetype, such as the new synchro monster known as Michael, the Arc Lightsworn. When he's destroyed, you can target any number of Lightsworn monster from your graveyard and shuffle them back into your deck, and you gain 300 life points for each Lightsworn monster being shuffled back into your deck. Well, as long as Aurkus, Lightsworn Druid, sits on the field, he says no to that. So that's kind of unfortunate, and sometimes I like to abuse that kind of effect when, you know, the life points help out, and on top of that, it kind of just reestablished some of the cards I've lost, and that way I increase my chances of making the repeat plays, or give me like another chance to utilize those plays. That's probably a better way to say things like that. But also, he can stop cards such as a particular card that has been released within the Dragons of Legends set and is still thriving up to now, well, throughout up to today that I'm talking about this video. And the card I'm talking about is Soul Charge. Now, Soul Charge is a very popular card where it states that it target any monster in your graveyard, and you can special summon them to your side of the field, and then you have to lose 1,000 life points for each monster that you bring back. And if you're hoping to bring back Lightsworn monster, which that's pretty much the most notorious way of doing that, since that's pretty much the main reason why you're utilizing Soul Charge. Well, as long as Aurkus sits on the field, he says no to any targeting towards your Lightsworn cards. So that's very unfortunate. Now, let's go back to another unique statement that I brought up for the con section, since he does weaken your own Lightsworn plays. Well, let's say what happened if you're getting into a mirror match when you play against another Lightsworn player. Well, if you have Aurkus Lightsworn Druid on the field, it could be a funny moment where your opponent can't really utilize his or her Soul Charge play or any of his or her Lumina plays. So that is one of those moments where Aurkus can get in the way of certain Lightsworn cards. But at the same time, it won't last forever, since, like every Lightsworn decks, they have their boss monsters such as Dragon Rulers, BLS, Chaos Sorcerer, Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon, Light Ray, Diablos, you name them, and that's it for Aurkus. Aurkus just dies. And you're not always guaranteed to have the Honest or the Necrogarner or Rainbow Kuriboh set up. I mean, they're just those times. And on top of that, with his let's go to another portion of the con section. His stats. 1200 attack is not something you want to brag about. And if you want him, and his effect is very useful when he's face up. You can't utilize his effect if he's face down. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to normal summon him into attack mode, which screams out, "Hey, I'm a 1200 beater that can easily get run over." And especially when you get into a mirror match, cards like Aaron, Jane, Lila, Raiden, they can just run over Aurkus easily. So that's very unfortunate right there. And even in defense mode, if you manage to put him in defense mode, like if Raiden has successfully milled a Lightsworn monster, he gets 200 attack points. Jane can run him over, Geralt can run him over, Wolf can run him over. Those are the unfortunate moments for Aurkus. Aurkus is kind of like outclassed because of his stats. And on top of that, other cards within the metagame also have abilities where they stated that they don't target. Cards like Artifact Morale Tech, Spellbook of Fate, Madolche Tiramisu. Those are cards where they could just say, I don't care about your Aurkus because, seriously, they just say, I don't target, so deal with it. That's basically what they'll probably say. So, you might be wondering, so what are my final thoughts on Aurkus Lightsworn Druid? Well, Aurkus, for one, has some really unique effects that can really stop your opponent from making any disruptions towards your interesting plays. So that is one thing that is good about him. And it's also something that you don't need to worry about. Oops, sorry about that. That, he's also another name for your Judgment Dragon plays. So that's a good thing. So, overall, unfortunately, his stats are very weak. The mill 2 is kind of mediocre. Well, I kind of let that slide with Jane because Jane is a beater, so that is something I kind of let that slide. But unfortunately, Aurkus can't really do much. So, and sometimes he can be, he can end up backfiring your own big, huge Lightsworn plays if you want to make certain interesting plays, which that is a problematic scenario. And then there are other cards that just don't really care about Aurkus Lightsworn Druid's effect because, they might say they don't target. And that happens. So overall, I would say he's not a terrible monster by any stretch of the imagination, but unfortunately he is outclassed. So my recommendation is that if you want to run him, you can run him as a one-off. But there's other times where you can get away with your Lightsworn deck without running him. So, it's like a 0 to 1 player preference. I chose not to run Aurkus because I unfortunately target my own Lightsworn monsters like I like to abuse with Michael's effect. Sometimes utilizing Lumina because I usually like to utilize Lumina's effect very effectively a lot and stuff like that. So that's pretty much my own reasons on that. But it really comes down to how you guys view on Aurkus. You're the player. You decide how you want to play. If you like Aurkus and it's been working well for you, then I say keep playing that one Aurkus, like Lightsworn Druid. I would not highly recommend run more than a one-off. So, I hope this video is very helpful to the person I am answering his question. And I hope this is very helpful to any newer Lightsworn players or anyone who wants to learn about the Lightsworn archetype. So, let me know down in the comment section down below on your thoughts and opinions. And, I like to expand this discussion for other people. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more of ThoseYGOguys. So, I hope you find this video very helpful and very informative. And I will see you guys later. So, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.